Hello everyone. This week we are reviewing a book titled First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. The book is all about how do you handle the first 90 days of any transition, be it a promotion or a job change that you have done within or outside your company, and what should you be doing to make this transition a successful one. The author of the book is Michael Watkins. He's an expert in accelerating transitions across orgs in the world, and he was a professor at Harvard Business School at some point in time. And there are a lot of articles in HBR as well. Moving on to the summary of the book, he keeps it very, very simple. He talks about 10 key principles that one should follow when such transitions are happening in your workplace. Starting with preparing oneself. When you get promoted, try to understand what is the scope change that is happening in terms of breadth and the depth of the role that is happening. People tend to assume that it's a natural progression and they don't take a step back to understand how is the scope changing for themselves in the new role, and understand and establish that whatever has helped you in terms of skills and competencies to get this promotion may or may not help you in this new role. To understand what is a gap, skill gap there, and see if you can bridge that gap. And lastly, it's very important that we treat this as a new paradigm shift in the way you work, and prepare yourself mentally also as you get into this promotion or the new role, right? So preparing oneself is the first step. Second step is accelerating learning. Because you're getting into a new role, there will always be a lot of expectations and spotlight put in this new role because you're taking over somebody else's reins. So you should try to be on your feet and accelerate your learning at a rapid pace, which means that you should be very, very open to assimilate a lot of inputs that comes your way in this new organization or new role, and don't try to force all existing knowledge that you have from your previous work experience or previous understanding of how things work, etc., because it could be very different in the new org. So it's best you assimilate a lot of these things before you give back anything. At least in the first 90 days, author recommends not to make any drastic changes in the way things are happening. And also find a structured way to accelerate your learning, meaning set up proper one-on-ones with key leaders, key people in the team, people who spend a lot of time within the team, understand how the teams function, etc. Spend a lot of time with them in a structured manner with proper one-on-one setup with them. So that the learning becomes happens at a good pace in a structured way. This is on accelerating learning. The next step is matching strategy to the situation. So a key acronym that the author here talks about is when you're entering into a new team or picking up a new role, the team could be in one among the 5 states which are listed below, which are, it could be in a startup mode, or it could be in a turnaround, it could need a turnaround situation, or it could be in an accelerated growth, or it could need some realignment in the strategy, or you are probably expected to sustain the success which is already seen by the team. So he calls this the STARS situation. STARS is the acronym. So understand what that situation of the new team is, and tweak your learning process also if need be. Maybe if you need if you're in a startup situation, probably you would be expected to understand a lot of technical things also, because you have to get your hands dirty and all of that. So basis the situation, change your strategy of learning is the point. And also understand what specific skill sets could be required, because each of them require different kinds of skill sets to handle that situation. Maybe you have not been exposed to such kind of situation before, hence you would probably need some kind of additional skill sets or competencies to handle one of the situations. So understand what is the situation in the new team. The fourth point is negotiating success. Here the conversation is being put in perspective of your boss. Understand with your boss what success of this team means to him. How does he evaluate the success of the team that you're going to represent going forward, and set the right expectations with him in terms of success metric and the timeline that he's looking forward. Understand his style of working and set clear protocols with him. Of course, these are normal behaviors that anybody would exhibit. And more importantly, don't just look for the success of the team, look for the success of yourself also. Let's say he expects you to do something. What is that? Where does he see you probably in a year's time or 2 years time? Identify clearly the skill gap or competency gap, and set a kind of a contract between you and him in terms of at what point in time, what kind of resources would you require or training that you would require, and hence what kind of support is expected from him. So this is on negotiating success with your boss. The next one is on securing early wins. See, one of the key things that has to happen when you get into new teams, the author says, is that you'll have to establish strong credibility with the team members. One of the easy ways to do is demonstrate key quick wins for the team with your expertise. Now, of course, it can't be for the sake of doing quick wins, doing some random things, right? It has to tie back to your overall business goal. So you'll have to spend time with the team, understand how any line item which is very, very critical to a business goal, how can it be solved, and what is your role in that, and help the team or enable the team to solve that key problem statement. And that is about securing early wins and hence building credibility for yourself within the new team. The sixth point is about achieving alignment. Here, of course, you've taken over a new team, you've understood the current situation, you probably have worked with your boss to understand how does he define success. But in order for you to do all of these things, you'll have to have the right strategy or structure or process and skills within the team. So you need to spend time to understand what is your end state that you want to be in, and what is the current state of things for both these, and see how do you marry these two. Of course, you have to understand and see if you can live with the current way of things. Maybe the core processes or structures are working very well today. Don't tinker it as much as you would want to generally otherwise when you get into a new team, right? And define core processes, identify core processes within the team, identify core resources within the team who help drive these core processes, and see if any changes have to be made for both these. If in case process have to be changed, please change it, or if resources have to be changed, do the necessary changes so that both of them fit together and hence help you reach the destination that you have already set to reach, right? Now this is on achieving alignment within the team basis your larger business goals and targets that you have set up. The next one is building your team. There was a top connect, right? You connected with your boss to understand what success means to you. Do the same thing with the teams that report to you also. Very clearly establish what success means to you and how do you define success with them, how do you set goals with them, etc. So clearly establish that expectation with your reportees. And more importantly, understand who are your rock stars, superstars and laggards within the team. Of course, all three sets of people are required for the team to function properly. Understand who they are and what motivates them. Is it a pull kind of a thing, which means you can give them a larger shared vision of the team, what they want to do, etc., and people would get pulled to that and work for you? Or is it a push kind of a thing wherein people are looking for incentives or goal setting, etc.? Identify what drives what kind of people and set the right kind of motivation for your team members. And importantly, understand if any personal changes have to be made in the sense that do you want to replace someone because you think that they are not fitting in the overall scheme of things that we spoke about in the last point, and if you have to replace them, how do you find the backups, how do we find a replacement quickly for these people is something that you have to evaluate. This will help you build the right team is the whole point. The next point around this is around creating alliances. So it's a very simple framework, right? You spoke to your boss, you spoke to your team, now talk to your stakeholders. Identify who are your key stakeholders, identify who are the people who will help you achieve these larger business goals. Try to set structured alliances with them and hence build a solid rapport with them. Of course, you will have people who support you already or people who oppose you vehemently for whatever reasons be, or people who can be convinced or persuaded over a period in time. Understand what motivates them to do each of these things and see if you can work with them and help them take your sides, of course. So you'll have to understand influencing / negotiating strategies. Maybe it is not your competency, so you'll have to think about building such kind of competencies, and hence you influence all your stakeholders so that you also exhibit what is that you can deliver for them, and hence mutually help each other to deliver the end goal. Right now, creating alliances is the next point. The ninth point is about looking inwards, right? Managing yourself. That's the ninth point. So you need to, of course, look at whatever things we spoke about earlier, preparing yourself, accelerating learning, etc., and all of that, and groom yourself for the new role is the first point. The second key point is you should set up personal disciplines for yourself in order for you to achieve the goals for the new role. What do you mean personal disciplines? As you grow up in your organization, etc., you would have to have certain kind of rules / protocols that you would have to follow in order for you to be as productive as you can be, right? And hence being lethargic may not help you here, etc. So identify personal disciplines that can help you manage your new role. And the other important point is managing work-life balance. Because you have been promoted, you will probably have more responsibilities to handle different kinds of work hours, timings, etc. Or you could have moved to a different city where your family is also trying to adapt to your new situation. Hence, how do you manage the work-life balance in such a way that there is no burnout for you in the new role also, as well as you are happy with your family as well. So managing oneself is the next point. And the last point is accelerating everyone within the organization. Now that you have understood how to handle transitions, etc., is there something that you could do within your overall org also? Try and see if you can set up some kind of a transition framework. What are the key things that one should handle in terms of a transition framework, and ensure that all the leaders within the org have necessary support to handle the transition in terms of recruitment or talent acquisition, etc. How quickly can you what is the TAT for hiring, etc., and all can it be set in such a way that the transitions can be handled smoothly. And the last point is try to understand if the transition acceleration that we're talking about needs to be part of high potential leadership training exercises that generally happens within the organization, so that this becomes a key line item or a competency for any high potential leader that is being groomed within the organization. That brings us to the end of the summary. What are the key takeaways from this book? We generally take promotions or job changes, at least within the organizations, for granted. There needs to be a conscious effort that has to be put in to ensure that one prepares himself or herself to adapt to the new team. It helps the leader as well as the new team in equal proportions. The second key point is failures in critical leadership teams not only ruins the career of the leader who is taking over, but also the whole team faces failure in terms of talent loss or business loss, etc. So key leaders need to be trained surgically to ensure that they handle such changes successfully. The third point is a team's current structure and culture is a evolution of a lot of leaders who have handled the team, and hence there's a lot of history in the current form and shape of the team. And hence the new leader has to spend time to understand, assimilate all these history and background before any new changes are brought in. It's a very simple thing that any living organism would fight an alien body unless the alien body agrees to coexist with the living organism. That's the same thing which can happen here as well in a new team. With that, we come to the conclusion of this week's review and summary. I'll catch up with you with another interesting book the next week. Till then, goodbye.